Let me see if the transcript works. Yes. Uh, so I have to share my screen now, right? Uh, just a second, just a second. Share a screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Is the question now.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so the topic that I have is international negotiation. I will speak about this topic and mostly related with my company's work and how we can implement the negotiation through some international clients and customers. So starting off with the introduction. So basically, this is very essential for global businesses, so they can manage diverse clients' expectations and legal frameworks. If you're working in the international company, you will have to deal with international clients every day. So getting to know the like a bit of the tips that you can use during the negotiation is quite what's going to step you up. And about my company that is called Expat Capital, as I mentioned, we engage with global clients based in the asset management. So we have clients for more than 35 countries around the world. We are working. I will mention more in detail in the presentation, but with the London and the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, so we have calls with them every day. Also, about the clients, they're institutional and individual investors. We have banks, we have asset management companies, brokers, hedge funds, and most of them are primarily international, while the individual investors are mostly located in Bulgaria. We have many people who are internationals and live in Bulgaria, but they're foreigners and they're keeping their money with us. So what we I can mention some of the challenges that we have experienced talking about the international negotiation. First thing first, one of the most common and well-known challenges is the communication barriers, where you have to navigate multiple languages and you have to keep, of course, the professional jargon. So it basically you have to be prepared for the client that you're going to have a meeting or a call with, because he can speak German or he can speak English, but there is a case that he or she cannot speak, for example, both. And then we have to came up with some solution how to solve this issue. At my office, we have people, for example, my boss, he's speaking 7 languages, so he's pretty well known when we have this kind of international meetings with people. And then we have communication barrier or cultural differences. For example, here, as some of you just mentioned, for example, Orlin with the Portugal company that he's working at, and Daria, where she said that many international people are working at her office. In our office, we are working only Bulgarians, but as I mentioned, we work with many international clients, and I can tell you that the difference between the countries and the cultures when we have this kind of international meetings is huge. And we already established like a clear point of view of how to deal with a certain person and a certain culture, because we get to know the person and get to know the culture, and we know like what we have to address in order he to like get his work done, because some nationalities need to be pushed more in order to get the work done. And yeah, the third thing is the regulatory diversity, because I mean we are in the EU, but when we are dealing with some, for example, hedge funds from the States, I really cannot explain how hard is the whole regulatory compliance and how many different documents they have, and how hard is first to like to get the documents in the EU format, and then from the EU format we have to get everything translated, and everything needs to apply to the Bulgarian standards. So when we have, for example, clients from the States, or from example from Asia, we had couple from Singapore, Shanghai, Tokyo. There is absolutely disaster regarding of this. So we have really to think about a process that is more clean and clear for this, because we are spending so much time of just regulatory diversity, where is somewhere inside outside of Europe. So some theories and models that are relevant to the international relations. As Martin just had a presentation about the Hofstede cultural dimensions. In the negotiation point of view, we can say that the impact of the individualism versus collectivism and the uncertainty avoidance on the negotiation style really matters, because as Martin mentioned, the Hofstede cultural dimensions are pretty different for every country, and in Bulgaria we have like some uh, types of the dimensions that are not pretty, like I would say, well established for international negotiation, because people here are kind of individualistic. And I mean that depends on the person and the company, of course, but like there is a national base that I'm speaking about. So we have to adapt at the international negotiation phase when we are dealing with foreign clients. The other thing I want to mention is I cannot really pronounce the name, but it's Trompenars cultural dimensions, where is differences in achieving consensus and the role of context. For example, the high context versus the low context cultures. That's what exactly I was talking about. For example, there are cultures that needs to be pushed a little more to get their work, but for example, there are cultures that if you say a certain thing and you know that the person is going to do it, you know that the person when he does it he gonna send you a confirmation email. There won't be any kind of a problem with working with this person. And this is a really important thought, that for example when you're working with a specific person, you start to think that the whole country and the whole firm that he's working in, and the whole country is like him, because he made you a good impression on something, and you start to think that the others are going to do the same. But that's not exactly always the situation, because we have experienced a perfect communication and a perfect style of communication with a woman from a company from the, I think it was in Germany, yeah, a German bank. And then other woman came like 5 days after that, and she started complaining about everything. So it's not always the same situation that, for example, when you're working at the same company and at the same nationality. That also, as I mentioned, it's pretty cultural based. And then the application is basically you can use these theories, the Hofstede and Trompenars cultural dimensions to try to predict the client behavior and to tailor negotiation strategies. Because I would honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I have tried the Hofstede cultural dimensions with a client from I think Hungary, and I've analyzed it a bit, and the things that I saw on the cultural dimensions were actually pretty well established for him. So we can like set a little bit of strategy 10-15 minutes before the online meeting that we had. So yeah, that's a bit of tips that you can use if you have some international negotiation. Then a bit of the strategies basically is the communication styles. These are just simple tricks that I've just shared with you. I'm going through them a bit fast so you can like try to implement them in your work. It's to use clear and simple language of communication, and to confirm understanding frequently. The other thing is the cultural competence, as I just mentioned. For the you can like set cultural competence before the meeting, like with the Hofstede example, so you can develop sensitivity to cultural nuances, and you can adapt to approaches to suit cultural expectations. Because some people, all people around the world are different. And if you are kind of like prepared what you can expect, and if you are prepared what type of communication to use, it will be easier to get a nice deal with the person. Then the third thing, which is pretty valid for uh all the I forgot the word, all the people around the world, is to establish trust and credibility through consistent and reliable actions, and respect for cultural norms. For example, like to know that you need to be on time for the meeting, to be prepared for the meeting, to have a structure agenda for the meeting, then to ask questions. Then there is after service, as I call it, after sale, which is pretty important, to send a confirmation email. And then if you set a certain deadline, to meet that deadline, and to know the person, to know from your side that everything would be done at time. Mm. And last but not least, very, very, very important is the adaptation. While negotiating with different type of clients is required a different kind of approach. As I mentioned earlier, all the nationalities around the world are different, so we have really to be like we have to adapt for the situation, we have to adapt for the person, for the cultural difference that he has with us. So adaptation is really a key point for this. Then I can just share a successful international negotiation example with you, so I can like give you insights that all the strategies and all the strategies and the things that I've mentioned are actually applicable. So the situation was that we had a negotiation with a major hedge fund from the USA. And yeah, the challenge was differences in contract terms, preferences, and negotiation timing. For example, as I mentioned, the regulatory compliance in the States is very, very, very different from the one in the EU. So dealing with that was pretty challenging. Also, the other thing is the timing, because, for example, uh, the hedge fund was in New York, and they're opening at 9 or 9:30, so that's 4 or 4:30 Bulgarian PM. And if we set up a meeting with them around 11 or 12, we have to stay at the office because we have to use one of the conference room to be all of us, and to have the meeting, which is going to be it lasted 1 hour. So yeah, that was also a challenge. And then following with the after, as I call it, after sales service, we have to send emails, and they were like they were open to European style emails. And if you're wondering what's that, yeah, there is actually a European and USA style of emailing. Yeah, but however, the outcome was to that there were successful. The deal was successful, and that happened through flexibility in negotiation term, and patience in building a relationship, because we were pretty like passionate about this, and we know that this deal is very important. So we have adapted quickly to for the situation. We have many people who actually have studied and work in the States, so they know how the business culture there works. And so they were kind of prepared for the meeting, and we know what to expect. So I have a few questions prepared for you, so we can have a quick discussion, and I would like to get your thoughts on. For example, the first question that I've prepared is like, what do you think are the major communication barriers that might arise when dealing with international clients? I don't know, because I don't see you guys, but if someone just want to speak, just you can start. There is no certain order.
I think maybe what's custom to some religions or cultures could be a big barrier because, for example, we had one client from Turkey, and their negotiation styles are very different from ours. For example, when they come to the office, they expect immediately to have coffee, to have a little bit of a chat, to talk about what like whatever, and for about 30 minutes, and then after 30 minutes, you can actually start a negotiation. They also have some things like if you don't negotiate but immediately conclude on a price, they get offended. So I think maybe customs and such beliefs or religions could be some communication troubles.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because we had also some clients from um yeah, we have some clients from Turkey, and actually, for what exactly you said, I can rely completely, because the person came to the office, but they already like established some connection and like trust with the person, and so they know him, and they immediately the portier are bringing the coffee and sweets, and he wants a bit of a chit chat before start actually working. But yeah, that's the things that I was speaking about, that we have to really adopt for the different situation and for the different nation that we are going to deal with. Okay, so the other question that I have is, how might understanding the cultural dimensions like those proposed by Hofstede and Tromperans aid in negotiation across cultures? Like, do you think that these two dimensions and styles that are giving are presented by them can actually help you be kind of prepared for the negotiation deal, the international negotiation deal that you would have? What do you think?
I would say that
I
they. Oh, sorry. You go first.
Okay, thank you. I do agree it would be helpful because, like, when you research like another culture, you find out what are the major goals that the people want to achieve there. And I think that when you understand what somebody's goal is, it's easier for you to like negotiate how to maybe come to a consensus and reach both of your objectives. So I think in that way it would be helpful.
Okay. Lynn,
Yeah.
start mentioning something.
So I would say that they absolutely would help because I very much noticed even when doing the presentation, I was imagining some situations because at our office we have a lot of meetings with a lot of different clients, although they're all Dutch companies, very Dutch, meaning that our Portuguese company, we do in general, as you said, like the chit chat in the at first. We do like the long lunches. I say we because I'm a part of the company. That's why. So uh, Dutch people, for example, they don't really use food as much for business. They use it more of a as a for
Source.
convenience. We would say, yeah, source and convenience. They basically just have a sandwich and don't really think about it. Where for Portuguese cultures, it's more like you go to lunch, you actually have a good meal, you talk about business, you talk about the situation, you get to know the person, you actually become familiar with them and their style of communicating, which of course if you before that are prepared for their answers in a way, so the Trumpenars differences and the Hofstede insights, then you would be absolutely better prepared and more um, you would put yourself in a position where you would get success rather than just having a big misunderstanding and cultural shock, I would say.
Yeah,
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 I,
I understand because your scenario and your case is perfect because as when you were talking for your presentation and from what I've heard from you before is that your company is, as you said, Portuguese, but they have like the informal way, the chill way, the long breaks and the lunches, while the Dutch is pretty strict and to be part of this society because you are based now in the Netherlands and to work constantly with Dutch clients, as you mentioned, is kind of hard, is kind of challenging while you are in this company. But I can tell you that this is a pretty good start for you, so you can like be prepared for some actions that you need to take when you move in another company, for example, when we graduate. Okay, the next question that I have prepared is, what strategy do you think could be most effective for building trust with clients from different cultural backgrounds? For example, you can mention the one that I mentioned, but if you have experienced something else, you can also mention it.
Hmm. I would say that the best strategy would probably be just to prepare yourself in a way, or just to know what to expect. But I wouldn't say that there is a clear strategy that would work for everyone. So, yeah, just in general, being not accustomed, but at least knowing what to expect. That's the best strategy. I don't
Okay.
really know.
If someone else wants to mention something, if no, I can continue with the last question. Okay, then moving on to just to mention quickly for this, I mean, Orlin, you're on the in my opinion in the correct direction because yeah, preparation in this area is key. Like what I've mentioned is you can be prepared with a Hofstadter dimensions. For example, you can get a little bit know the culture. You can be on time. You can be formal. You can prepare a agenda, then follow the after sales service. So yeah, these are like small things, but I 100% believe that they are applicable for all the for all the nationalities around the world. And if you're making business with someone foreign, these small things are like going to make you stand out from the crowd. So yeah. The last question that I have is how can you apply the insights gained today about the international negotiation in in your future career or current roles that you have with the internship, or yeah, you can mention about some future careers if you want.
For me personally, I will always analyze different cultures and I'll take into consideration their different views and cultural backgrounds, because to be honest, I haven't really thought about that, but I can now use, for example, the Hofstede on the Tropendars and combine that with what you said and presented. And I think this gives a really full overview of what a person might want to have in terms of communication or organization. So, for example, in your company, when you negotiate with, let's say, Hungarians who have low risk tolerance, you won't offer them like some highly volatile like crypto or stocks. You have to offer them something more secure that will cater to their style. So I think if used correctly, this can be a psychological tool or cultural tool which you can use to understand people and to offer them what they want. And I think that's key.
I
Okay.
would say that it would actually help us very much because all of us were in an international study. So you would expect that we continue our career in an international company, let's say. So in such setting, you have to always uh, keep in mind the differentiation, the difference between you and the person you're speaking to. Would it be a company? Would it be uh, a specific person? Would it be even a person in a Dutch company? Maybe he's Hungarian, he's not Dutch, but his way of communicating will be more Hungarian, maybe. So you have to take that into account. So it's very interesting. I actually very much enjoyed making the presentation about it, just to think about all of the aspects that go into it. And I would say that yes, it would be very, very interesting and useful for us in the future. All of this, what we talked about today.
Yeah, that's nice. So what you, Martin and Orlin mentioned, because it's actually pretty applicable. I mean, I'm currently speaking about only the formal side of this, because international negotiation, who might think that this is something that is happening on a daily basis, but this, when I was in advanced, for example, and for when I was working in American company based in the Netherlands, but also in my everyday life, for example, when I was going to the gym, there is always communication with foreigners. So here is not only about like negotiation, but you can use this like for a clear way of communication, and have been prepared for some kind of a meeting. Yeah, the point is international negotiation, and is very like commonly used if you're working in the international companies, which I believe we all want to be in our future. So yeah, I hope this was a little bit of help for you to gain some insights and like strategies and tips that you can use in the future. That was everything from me. Thank you for your attention. Appreciate your time, and I would stop the recording now. Dun, dun, dun. Yes.